Yo! Hello, hello. Hello, brush strokes, boing, bowen, sterum, carrot, kippu, Garrett, Netterino, Droslo. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Kawotabris. Top. Something just flew in my mouth. I'm not gonna die. I can't die on. I guess I could die on stream, but it might get taken down if I did. I'm sure dying on stream probably violates if you Twitch bylaws. Also, shout out to the Splatoon News _ Twitter account that always shares my Popcast stuff. I don't know who actually runs that. I know they had it listed in their bio who actually ran it. Whoever that person is, they send me a lot of nice stuff. Or they do a lot of help in promoting my stuff, which I appreciate. Hey, thank you for modding stuff, Garrett. Adding a term. There's so many terms that people say in the Twitch chat where I'm like, okay, obviously that shouldn't be allowed. But there's other terms that the bot will catch where it's like, wait, how is that term offensive in some way? Like, there's probably something I'm completely missing here. Fern, did you play in Superjump? With a team? I don't think the homies played. Unless they did. First time you finally caught a Popcast episode? Well, it took you 75 episodes. But you're here now. You can watch the next 200 or so that I'm going to do until I finally decide that this is a dumb idea. I haven't reached that point yet. You subbed for Luau. Who-ow? Good morning, Mr. Rookie. No talk because you got to do homework. So basically everyone else in chat does as well. I'm very popular with people who should not be watching me live because they should be like in school or paying attention to something else, but appreciate the viewership anyways. I think some of you should just convince your teachers to put me on the projector in your classroom anyways. I'm more educational than whatever it is. What you're going to learn on the Popcast is going to benefit you more in real life than anything that you're going to learn in your real classes. Am I going to get sued for just saying that? I feel like that's something I could get sued for. Don't clip that. Next class is until 1. Okay, cool. Are you doing your homework right now for that class at 1? Like, you're doing homework for the class that starts in an hour? Yes, Luau had to play. Luau had to play the Kings. Round 1. Yesterday. Luau was also in my pool. They they took that big fat L from Destiny Troops, but I mean, it's to be expected. Joining your lobby and then skipping out, I don't quite get what you're talking about. What, could you be more specific? Lobby? Were you in a hotel lobby? I was at a hotel last night. I was here. I don't know what you're talking about, Flynn. Did anyone here not play in Superjump? Not to my knowledge. It's in chat at least. Oh, Tob JJBP7 didn't play in Superjump, so there's one right there. It's fine. A lot of people watch Superjump that didn't play in it. Oh, I'm gonna... Oh. Work on weekends. Yeah, when's the next like Tuesday night major gonna be? Bagels Pickup didn't do Gentleman's Connect 4. Hey, I don't think you want to mess around with Connect 4 against those guys. Pretty sure they know the meta of that. We didn't do well in Superjump. Should have at least signed up with a funny name, so we... I don't think that's how you should go about it. Gygus, gooey gas, but hey, InkSync. I'm just as someone who's been keeping an eye on InkSync for like 2 years now. I'm just happy to see you guys starting to play consistently again. You'll get back there. That's enough of that. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you're spamming the latest copy pasta in the Twitch chat, waiting for your opponent to confirm the match results, which they have about 10 minutes to do, calling the Smash GG hotline so that you can start your tournament, whatever it is that you're doing right now. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this, unless I don't. What a weekend, eh? The Rams beat the Buccaneers. The Ravens, Justin Tucker kicked the longest field goal ever in NFL history. And I'm sure all of you guys were spending all of your Sunday watching American football and not paying attention to Superjump. I'm sure you guys were not a part of the 793 peak viewers that watched the stream yesterday. Average viewers of 458. 7,053 live views. I have no idea what a live view is on Twitch. I'll look back at VODs on the Popcast and I'll have like 300 some odd. I'm like, that number means nothing to me. That I have no clue what a live view is, and I don't think any of you do either. But regardless, a ton of people were watching the Superjump tournament, so I think it's only natural. I'm going to be talking about it a lot today. News of some tournaments that are going to be coming up that may be of interest to you. Minnow Cup is this weekend, the Splat Zones edition. That is going to be on Saturday, October the 4th. October the 2nd. September the 4th was Saturday. October the 2nd, so this upcoming Saturday, is the Minnow Cup Splat Zone tournament. Make sure you sign up for that if it is something that tickles your fancy. Another tournament coming up soon will be Little Squid League 14, and I'm looking this up just now. It is going to be on Saturday, November the 6th, so that's going to be a little ways away. I guess they're taking the month of October off. That usually suggests that there is a lot of things going on in October, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. But Little Squid League, unless I'm missing something, won't be in October, but will be in November. Minnow Cup going to be in October instead in this upcoming Saturday. Today, we're talking about all things Superjump. In chatting with Skye, head TO for IPL, one of the TOs for Superjump, and one of the head TOs specifically for SOS, getting their thoughts on what happened this past weekend and all things, conversation about other things as well with IPL. That was this is a pre-recorded conversation that, as I was DMing a lot of people last night. It's like, hey, do you want to come on? There was a lot of different things I wanted to talk about. We came to the realization that maybe 12 o'clock Eastern time on a weekday isn't the most beneficial for a lot of people that I wanted to come on. So pre-recorded that last night, going to play that later, but all the information we talked about is still going to be super relevant. And so you'll be wanting to hear that interview. A lot of good stuff coming out of that. Also, be talking about all the things that happened during the week. Patch came out, Splatoon 3 stuff came out, SOS happened, paddling pool, some other tournaments that I missed, but we'll be talking about all of that stuff in the usual weekly recap section. But first, what you just saw was the biggest non-Nintendo Splatoon tourney ever outside of Japan. We think. we were trying to think of anything that could have topped it. 855 players, 166 teams officially on Smash GG. Now, some teams dropped, some people added subs over time, so those numbers might not be 100% accurate, but as far as what is projected on Smash GG, 855 players, 166 teams. And we're sitting there thinking, what would be bigger than that? We looked at all the Inkstorm tournaments, Inkstorm 1 through 8. We beat all of them. Obviously, we beat all of the low inks. The biggest low ink was in January. It had 120 some odd teams, so close, but still off by about 40 teams there. The other thing that probably could have beat it would be one of those old Squidboard tournaments back when they partnered with Ludi as like the not like the play-in, but like a seeding tournament for Ludi. Beat the Squidboard tournaments as well. The only thing we didn't beat was Nintendo tournaments. Although we did beat a good chunk of the Nintendo tournaments from the past summer series of tournaments that we had. But the ones where they were getting like 400 teams, back when it was like a single elimination tournament, it was definitely bigger than what this was. But still, the non-Nintendo tournaments beat all of them. Viewership-wise, again, Squid House beat everything, and far as prize pool, Squid House beat everything as well. But Squid House was basically a hijacking of a Nintendo tournament that was kind of a fusion dance with the Smash community as well to create that. Squid House was more of an invitational, I think, than at like an actual tournament. Plus, it only had 4 teams, but still, the viewership and prize pool for that tournament may never be topped for a good chunk of time in Splatoon. But still, my camera went out of focus there. That's weird. Why? There we go. Weird. Regardless, unless somebody can think of something bigger, I think that topped it. Maybe you could make the argument that that Ludi is bigger because it has like 300 some odd teams. It's more of a season thing than an actual tournament. Even though it is a tournament that is just kind of dragged out over the course of a month or so. Because that had about 300 teams this past season. But still, as for the single, the more I talk about it, the more like restrictions I'm putting on this statement. But it is true. As far as majors are concerned, outside of Japan, it's not Nintendo. Name something that had more teams in it. I think this is it. And honestly, the amount of teams that we had in this tournament, I don't think IPL was truly prepared for this many teams. A lot of the issues that you saw pop up over the course of the weekend that weren't related to Smash GG sucking was just because there was so many more teams and players than I think the brass at IPL was kind of preparing for. I was just kind of talking to some of the other staff members, and that was the general consensus that I came to, is that everyone was kind of shocked by the amount of people that we had playing in this. Full disclosure, yes, obviously I work for IPL, more so with low ink than other things. I was not heavily involved in this. I did attend some meetings, and I did give some feedback on things, but I was not one of the main TOs for this at all. I feel like sometimes my face is plastered on IPL stuff, and that's definitely not the case. There was a lot of people who we're going to give credit to over the course of the day who played a monstrous role in making this tournament what it was, including JPEG, who didn't participate in TOing over the weekend and made it public on Twitter with that copy pasta. But still, JPEG put in a lot of work leading up to this event, and that shouldn't go unnoticed as well. But yeah, the amount of teams, if you listen to the Popcast on Monday, 71 teams were signed up on Monday. to get from 71 to 166 in the course of a week. Basically, an entire low ink tournament signed up for Superjump in 1 week. When I said we had 71, like, of course we knew on Monday the number was going to grow, but almost by 100 teams in a week, that is crazy. And it's frustrating that everybody waits to the last minute to sign up, but it's understandable. This isn't a tournament where you need at least 3 other people, and you need everyone's schedules to align, and you need basically have your entire weekend off. And there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. So it's understandable people wait to the last minute. It's not just all procrastination that leads to teams signing up late for tournaments. There are other factors that play into it to make Splatoon a more difficult tournament to get teammates for than something like Smash, where if you're not doing doubles, you don't need a teammate. Oh, we're going to take a look at some of the matches that went in here, from Alpha all the way to Epsilon, and some of the pool matches as well, because there was a lot of really good action within these actual events. But first, I want to kind of talk about the logistics that led up to this tournament. Some things people were talking about. The tourney as a whole seemed to be okay. A lot of the issues that kind of popped up, other than just the massive amount of teams that signed up for it, was the fact that Smash.gg sucks so bad. Smash.gg, if you're a TO, provides a lot of really cool tools that make running a tournament awesome in theory. But as a lot of you probably figured out over the course of the weekend, maybe you forgot because you haven't played the Smash GG tournament in a while. But if you paid attention, for the actual player, Smash.gg is a total nightmare to navigate. You have to finding your actual game takes some maneuvering to do. Finding brackets it's not as easy to find brackets as you would think. Getting just to your matched lobby, and you got to check in, and then you got to add, we started the lobby, and you have to have everybody verify and sign off on every single individual thing. And it's just a total nightmare. And a good chunk of the time, my major complaint with Smash.gg, especially when other tournaments have done it, is that it just doesn't work. It crashes all the time. And that if you use Smash.gg, you should assume that it is not going to work. I mean, that's why I'm critical of other people that have used Smash.gg, because you can't just say, oh, well, it's not our fault. Smash.gg just crashed. No, you decided to go with this website. You should have known the risk that was coming. You inherit that risk by participating with that website. We did have to actually call the Smash.gg hotline to start the tournament for Pool A because we couldn't get it to start. That is both hilarious and scary at the same time. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, actually, that is kind of cool that there is a customer support line for the website. If something were to break for Battlefy, I don't think I would know where to go, who to contact, if there even is a customer service line that you can call there. However, on the flip side, another thought I had was, if you have a hotline because your website breaks so often that you're so used to people calling in and needing it to be fixed, maybe that's a red flag right there in its own right. I think it was Bronze who made a tweet, the Joker phone meme of hey, can we start our tournament? Smash.gg. And the Smash.gg Twitter support account immediately responded with, hey, if you have any issues, feel free to give us a call on this live, blah, blah, blah. And it's hilarious because Bronze did not ping Smash GG in that tweet, just flat out said smash.gg, just typed it out. So they must have some sort of support bot that is like constantly searching Twitter and responding to all these tweets about them, trying to get people to realize, hey, we can fix things for you. Which also makes me think, if you need a bot that constantly comb Twitter to spread the message that the things can be fixed on their website, why is it breaking down that often that it needs to be done like that? So that's a end rant on smash.gg. I think, I assume this might be the last time anyone ever sniffs smash.gg for Splatoon. Now, for LANs, like, people are going to use smash.gg for LANs. That's fine. You know why? The only people who interact with smash.gg at LANs are TOs, and the website is very friendly for TOs. So that makes sense. At a LAN, you aren't filling out your own information. You're just telling your pool captain, hey, we beat these guys 2-1, and your pool captain then inserts it for you. So that makes more sense. But yeah, that was that was a interesting weekend for sure. Let's talk about the money issue, because a lot of topics of conversation being driven on Twitter leading up to Superjump once again was a sort of attack at the low-level scene, as is the theme here. Anytime a major happens, it's either, hey, low level, you aren't signing up because you're too stupid to realize what you're going to gain from playing in this, or, hey, you guys are getting money now. That's not cool either. All that money should go to the top. It's the same kind of, I kind of got the sense that was going to happen. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, because at the time when I talked about this last week on the Popcast, the prize pool that was currently announced was already $800. And it, like, a couple of hours after that podcast episode ended, the prize pool went up to $2,500. And it's like, oh, okay. So that adds a little bit more emphasis. Like, before, Beta and Gamma were just going to get like $40-ish, and then it bumped up to, okay, second place is getting 40, first place is getting 100. It makes things a little bit different. And now people were kind of pointing out, well, wait a minute. That money should be going to 7th and 8th place team. Gamma and Beta shouldn't be doing that. It's fine. Look, we all are trying to get this scene to take the next step into becoming a legit esport, and everyone has different ideas of how to get there. That's fine. If people want to suggest things about what should happen to prize pool, so be it. If the intention is fine. I don't think anybody was, well, I'm sure some people were, but I don't think anybody was trying to be crazy negative about it. They just have different opinions on how this scene should grow. Money should be going all to the top and not to the bottom. I was ready to do a rant about that yet again. However, that rant would have made a lot less sense, because things certainly changed over the course of the week. As more teams signed up, Beta and Gamma were not the bottom two brackets anymore. Delta and Epsilon. I don't even know what Epsilon is, but Delta and Epsilon brackets had to be added to account for the massive amount of teams that signed up for the tournament. So all of a sudden, I don't know, it came a little weird. It's not everybody didn't get a prize. Now it's like the actual teams that we expected to make Gamma and Beta are now in Delta and Epsilon, and like Gamma and Beta. Like, Gamma was basically like teams that were banned from low ink, just on the edge, the borderline of being banned from low ink. And Beta was basically like mid-level or like midway teams to an extent. So it's like, okay, now the message of, well, let's put a prize for low level kind of gets lost because of that. So I don't think it, like, any argument I could make for Gamma and Beta getting a prize pool would be null and void at that point. So that just became weird. And it's kind of understandable that people would find that odd. However, there is one point a lot of people were making, and they were pointing the finger in. There was a good point to make, but they were blaming the wrong people with the point they were trying to make. The idea is, if you offer a prize for lower brackets, people are going to cheat. People are going to throw and they'll end up in those bottom brackets so that they can just sweep their way through and claim an easy prize, knowing that if they made top cut, they would have no chance of getting past Starburst and FT Win. And as we found out, Jackpot and Kings and another team from Japan played really well as well in alpha bracket. So it's and I pointed it out too. If you listen to episode 74, I pointed it out as well. I was like, hey, we know for a fact people are going to cheat because people have done that in the past, in the Nintendo tournament and other tournaments before, definitely in low inks in the past. People have tried to cheat to get a prize pool. And even I acknowledged that it was going to happen. However, here is my problem with this. We've all been using the incorrect terminology for this kind of argument. You're not throwing to try to get into a match, to try to get into a lower bracket to win prize. That's not, throwing is an accurate term, but it's not being 100% honest. The technical term we should start using and thinking about is called match fixing. That is in some cases, in actual ball sports, that is illegal. I.e., you are throwing the match to an extent to where you can get money on the back end. It usually kind of comes down to gambling. One of the more famous cases, or allegations, I guess you say, it's not really proved, was one of the Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston fights, where it looked like Sonny Liston took it was called the Phantom Punch, like Ali just kind of like, it doesn't look like Ali kind of connected, but Sonny Liston went down and stayed down anyways. And there's this like all this speculation of like, oh, well, the mob told Sonny Liston to lose that fight because they gambled a lot of money on Muhammad Ali, and they would like come back on and they would get a lot of money off of gambling for things like that. So like ball sports match fixing is illegal. How could you prove that with esports in a court of law? I don't know. That is kind of awkward. I don't see like a prize pool being big enough and a max fixing case being big enough to where like we could go like, Your Honor, you could clearly see right here, this person used a vanilla splatter shot in this game. However, everyone knew that they scrimmed using Kensa shot leading up to this. So clearly by using this weapon, they were throwing. Your judges just be like, what? What are you talking about? I don't think any legal implications are ever going to become from esports unless it's like blatantly obvious that they cheated. There was some instances in Smash of people coming out admitting that they fixed some matches and they were punished by being banned from several tournaments, if not the community outright. But here's my problem with this argument that a lot of people were making. Well, since people are going to cheat, we should just take the prize away. What sense does that make? Because people at the top would have the potential to cheat and steal money from these tournaments, that we should just not offer it to low-level teams? That makes no sense at all. And so many people were saying, well, it's impossible. It's impossible to catch it. Are you serious? We caught the people from Nintendo, right? Didn't we catch that? How many people sign up for low ink that we catch? We don't tell you about them all, but we catch them all. It's very easy to find people cheating. Now, how can you prove it? Now, sometimes there is a little bit of a gray area. That is understandable. Gray area rules kind of suck. And I guess the best example is like a tournament that has squid bagging as a rule in its tournament. I don't like that because it's a gray area. What is squid bagging and what's not? If you get a splat on a team, you wipe them and you pick up the Rainmaker and time is running down and you start squid bagging with the rest of your teammates, is that a taunt, or are you just celebrating with your teammates the fact that you won a huge game? I see that more as celebrating than taunting. I don't really qualify that as squid bagging. If you get a triple, you kill 3 players in a key point in the game, and it's like you stop the push basically, and it's like the game can still happen, and you start squid bagging because of that. You could interpret that as a taunt. Me personally, I would interpret that as just a celebration. That's just kind of beating your chest, just being excited, getting everybody hyped in an emotional moment of the game, and more celebrating than taunting. Now, if you splat somebody in a 1v1 and you just go like stand over where they splat and just stare them down and then start squidbagging, yeah, that's taunting. That's immature. But I think a lot of times squidbagging is just more celebratory than meant as a taunt. So it's a gray area thing. So yeah, there's a lot of times with okay, did they really throw? Did they not? Did it look like they kind of like didn't try in this one moment? It's a kind of a gray area, but some of these things are pretty obvious. The problem and the reason why we were able to find out a lot of things with Nintendo is because it's so hard to get away with everything when you have multiple people that are aware of things. If you want to match fix in Splatoon, you need at least 3 other people to be in on it, possibly more. And the more people that are in on a fix, the more likely it is that somebody leaks something to the wrong person who leaks something to somebody else, and all of a sudden it spreads like fire and more people become aware of it. So it might not be, I'm not going to sit here and say, now I will say the winners of beta and gamma, 100% fine, as we'll explain. No, there's nothing fishy there at all. But I'm not going to sit here and say that this tournament was 100% free of cheating, because people probably did cheat. My point is, it eventually comes out every single time. So if we're going to sit here and say, take the prize pool away from other people because people are going to cheat, you are pointing the finger at the wrong individuals. Should banks have higher security if they're going to get robbed? Absolutely. Does that mean that the bank robbers should be let go? No, you tried to rob a bank. You should be punished for that. You don't just shut down banks because they could potentially be robbed. That is so ridiculous. Regardless, because the Delta and Epsilon bracket existed, I think there are some things to kind of rework with the prize distribution, but there will be more conversations to be had about that at a later time. Everything that happened in this tournament is going to be debriefed by IPL and figure out what can be done to make things better. Of course, there'll always be financial analysts on Twitter who didn't donate a single dime to the prize pool that are going to tell IPL how they should distribute that money that isn't theirs. So be it, but this is why not everybody's input is crazy important, right? Like, hey, what map pool should we have for some of these tournaments? Some people are going to suggest Camp Triggerfish. You got to realize those people are idiots. Regardless, there was a tweet made last night. K-Bot was in the staff VC. We're all just kind of like talking about a lot of things that we could have done to improve or like, okay, what went wrong in this tournament? And K-Bot was like, guys, the tournament's over. You should be happy. You should be excited that everything worked out well. And everybody just started yelling at K-Bot. It's like, shut up, dude. We'll be happy when we get it right. And I think that's what's exciting for me about IPL is that we all have this, we all play this game. Like a good chunk of us have either played this game or are still actively playing this game competitively. Like we're not satisfied with just putting on a good tournament. We want to get the tournament right. And until it's like 100% correct, I don't think any of us are going to be super 100% satisfied with where things are going. Not to say we weren't satisfied with Superjump. I think the vast majority of people with IPL were. But it's those things that's like, okay, how could we make this better? How could we make this smoother? What could we do next time? That's what IPL is constantly thinking about. Like, it's not enough just to win. We want to dominate. And maybe that makes it less enjoyable for some people. I don't know. But I think it's a great thing going forward to be seen from IPL. What happened in the actual matches? Because a lot of cool things kind of happened in this tournament. Let's take a look at each individual bracket. Starting with... Immol. Anyways, let's start with the top. Start with Alpha bracket. What did we learn from Alpha Bracket on yesterday? Several different things. First off, Japan is just too strong. I'm sorry. That was I believe that was just a pickup team, basically from Japan. Kings that flat out dominated this tournament. I mean, nobody really posed a legit threat to them. The best of the best we sent at them, and they couldn't really do anything. They went in per game across the entire weekend. Kings went 44-5. 44-5. Now, 18 of those games came from the pool stage, right? The rest of them came against the top teams we have in the West. FT Win, Jackpot, Arctic Moon, I believe they played at some point. Obviously, Starburst, Sonder, Luau. Who? They played the Bagel King, or the Bagel Zero, Hypnos and Henry pickup. Swept them. I mean, it's just not fair at some of these instances. Now, the 5 losses they took, to their credit, all went to Starburst. Starburst kind of proved in this tournament that they are the number 1 team outside of Japan. And if there was any doubt after Riptide, that doubt should be put to rest right here. Starburst against this really strong Kings team, which if you looked at their Twitter, they're all basically like 3,000 XP X rank. 10-5 or 5-10, 5 wins, 10 losses. And it's very clear those last 5, the Kings closed out Starburst by winning 5 in a row. And it was very obvious Starburst was they were just done. Eventually you do kind of run out of gas. Like all those losses eventually just kind of eats away at you. And you could just tell if they played like 10 more games, Kings would have won the next 10 in a row. Kings adjusted. You saw Starburst went back to the maps in that bracket reset that they won on in the first bracket, and Kings made an adjustment. They came out with Squiffer on tower control. They came out with Tentabrella on Rainmaker Blackbelly. They okay, we know what to expect this time around. We're going to make that adjustment. The biggest case I could make that Starburst kind of ran out of gas, there was the opening on a tower control anchovy game that they ended up winning, where the Kings used V-Jet at the very start of the game, just built up missiles, just fired missiles, kind of a traditional opening with V-Jet. You're just going to spam missiles. Those missiles they fired at the beginning of the game got 2 splats on Starburst. That only happens. Now, maybe there was like some bombs strategically thrown in a way to where like the players were going to huddle up and get splatted by the missiles. But the only way you die to missiles at the very beginning of a game is if like you're just not locked in, right? Especially at that level. So that just kind of suggests to me that Starburst was just kind of running low on mental energy, and Kings was just capitalizing off of it, which is insane to think about. I mean, this was basically a home court advantage for Starburst, a home time slot. Like it's the middle of the day for them. Japan, it's Monday morning? Deep into Monday morning for them at the time that they're playing. You would think Japan should be the team that's running out of energy, but it was quite the opposite. They just kept winning and just kept that streak going. Regardless, Starburst did beat them in winners semifinals 3-2. They did take 2 games off of them in the first bracket, but just ran out of steam. But still, the matchup we wanted to see was what? Starburst FT Win. Because FT Win had their actual roster this time. Drop Leafy from Riptide, add in Shaq. They kept 2D, no Bursty still. But we didn't get that matchup either way. Because Jackpot, and this is the other story here, Jackpot comes back after being disbanded, even though they weren't a team for crazy long, knocks out FT Win of Winners Bracket 3-1, and took Starburst in Winners Finals to a Game 5. Jackpot looked like a really solid contender here. Now, is Jackpot an actual team going forward? Because they did disband, and I don't know if they just came back just for this, but man, if Jackpot was an actual thing and continued to be going forward, Then all of a sudden, we don't just have FT Win at the top and then whatever combination of players, new team, Desire, Sayonara, whatever, is trying to take games off of FT Win. No, now we got FT Win, Starburst, and Jackpot into the mix. There's a three-way battle for first now. Of course, Starburst clearly in the lead at the current moment. But if Jackpot was an actual thing going forward and they stuck around like that, that would be a wonderful thing for the scene because this is new blood. These are new players that have grinded their way up to this point and have earned the third place spot here in Superjump. Now, another thing we learned, and I think this is a good thing for FT Win. I think the narrative has finally stopped being FT Win loses. And more so, FT Win is getting back to where we expect them to be. Yes, a lot of people were surprised that they took fourth place. But you look at the teams that beat them. It was Jackpot, who clearly is a very strong team that almost knocked out Starburst in Winners Finals. And the Kings team, who nobody could beat. Outside of Starburst. So it's not like they got upset. Yeah, you could probably say the Jackpot match was an upset, but you can't say Kings running into FT Win and loser semifinals. That's just not fair. And man, that strategy they pulled out, Splat Zone Skipper Pavilion, of just building stingrays and firing them straight down the spine, and all those stingrays like connecting perfectly. Man, They just eliminated FT Win in that game, and it was just really cool to see. However, the story for this should not be that FT Win didn't win Superjump. The story for this is that FT Win proved that they are on the right track to getting back to where they needed to be, and they tweeted out, "Hey, we're not satisfied with fourth place. We're going to keep grinding and get better." And that's what we all need to see. We want to see more teams at the top, not just somebody else taking over the spot, which Starburst has done. Now, if Jackpot's a real thing, and FT Win keeps grinding, and Starburst, who is the clear number one team now, that cannot be disputed, there's no excuses left to be played. Let it play FT Win. They can only play the teams in front of them. They played the teams that beat FT Win and beat them. But if we have a three-way race at the top now, that benefits all of us. Instead of just, well, can't wait to give FT Win more copies of ARMS going forward. So parity at the top is good. It was good to see the L plus Ratio plus You Fell Off plus whatever the rest of their name was back into this tournament. Hypnos, Zero, Bagel, and Henry. Those guys finished tied for fifth. Bed finished tied for, or not Bed, I think that is Mousetrap is who this is supposed to be. Sindao and Taylor, I believe, Brian and Villy. That was their roster for Paddling Pool. They played in this one as well, taking a game off of FT Win and Losers quarterfinals. So there's, in Arctic Moon, obviously we've seen Arctic Moon play really strong as well. There's more teams rising to the top in this scene. And it's wonderful to see that as somebody who just watches this sport going forward, that teams are starting to rise up. And there's going to be more Volti. What did I say? Villy? That makes sense. It's good. Parity at the top is good. And we're finally getting to a point to where that is the case now. And without Superjump, we would have seen that. The problem with Riptide was it was Arctic Moon, not FTW, and Starburst. And then like none of those teams got legit challenged until day 2. Like they just steamrolled their way to Championship Sunday until they actually got to play each other. This time they had to actually grind all day Sunday. FT Win took losses by TR31 leading up to Winners Semifinals. Starburst had to deal with Knights of Queen. Arctic Moon had to play a lot of really tough teams as well. So my point being, Alpha Bracket proved there's parity in this tournament, in this scene, and that's a good thing to see. Let's take a look at some of the other brackets, though. Starting with beta bracket, and we'll work our way on down. We're not going to look at each individual game. This one, if you were to kind of quantify what skill level this is clearly like midway kind of skill level. You had You had Campfire in here. You had Summit, Destiny Troops twice. And some other teams kind of like Geese Squid's finding their way in here is very good. Paradise obviously is proving that they are a monster team going forward. You saw Paradise did really well in this tournament. Just barely falling to Maurice here 2-1. Now, this is going to be the first question. Spanish Kangaroos did not lose a single game in this set. Oh, they clearly cheated to get into beta bracket so they get a prize pool. No, look at what look how Spanish Kangaroos ended up here. This was their pool. So they were stuck in this awkward three-way tie. TR31's the team that went on the top cut, as did I believe Tomodachi did as well. So there was just this awkward three-way tie for first place. So in order for Spanish Kangaroos to be the team, if they were to match fix and find their way in the beta, they would have to conspire with all these other teams that are right here to be like, hey, you take a game off this team and you take a game off that team and we'll beat that team. And then we'll do just badly enough per game to where we'll end up in if you're going to make the argument that there was a team that threw to win a prize pool, this is so convoluted that it makes no sense. It didn't happen. It flat out did not happen. So everybody that was worried about it happening, guess what? You worried for nothing because it didn't. Spanish Kangaroos dominating this bracket. This Skra Granu team, we played them in winners, what is this, quarters? Yeah, winter quarterfinals. These guys were crazy. They had a charger. Basically, their opening was just getting right to our base, but their charger and then switch to Squeezer. We were able to take one game off of them. It probably could have got two, but those guys were like crazy good with their aggression. I think our comp just wasn't. I think we're just a bad matchup for them just by the weapons that we use versus what they use. But they were really strong, and they couldn't really contend with Spanish Kangaroos. Maurice, basically a +3 pickup, taking third place right here. Moving on. Start eliminating things as we go here. This is Gamma bracket, the other bracket that had prize pool. And look at this. Look. Well, actually, let's kind of quantify what this bracket is. This is basically teams that are too good for low ink. Power Inc. is still eligible for low ink. Incraft Cult, obviously. Hyperflow played in the last low ink, but the vast majority of teams in here have been eliminated from low ink contention for a while now, and several of them are high ink teams, like the Grillers. Synergy's not a high ink team, but they were a Div 4 team. But looking at where we finished here, look how close these are. This one went to a final game. This set went to a final game. This set went to a final game. They played a grand total. iShard and Dreamscape played a grand total of what? 7, 14, 19 matches against each other. 2 Ludi sets and then just one more for fun. One more game for fun. iShard and Dreamscape. Wow. All counter picks, by the way. Now, the team that won this one, who's Dreamscape? They are the team that won Div 5. America Division. Look, they played Citrus in finals and they swept them 5-0. Dreamscape is a really strong team. I also saw on their roster that they had Prosper, who was from the Pursuit team that won the most recent low ink as well. So they had a very strong team in their own right and very deserving of their Gamma bracket win here. The team that finished in third was Synergy, falling to Dreamscape here, but Synergy making a nice run themselves in losers bracket. Moving right along, this is Delta. There was no prize for Delta bracket that I'm aware of. This looks lower like your low ink. This looks like your traditional alpha bracket in low ink with some other teams mixed in. Sommerzite doing very nicely here, sneaking into this one. But you got Kappa, you got OK Woomer, you got Myopsidus, Wiggly Phantoms, Access Denied, BLT, Rising Hope, Outcast Ninjas. These are the usual alpha bracket teams in low ink with some others mixed in. Saturday night off was my friend Carrot's team. She had a Hammer, Nezzy, and I believe Juicy were the other players on that one. They ended up finishing in third place. Moniker, the team taking second here, but Valhalla, if you remember, Valhalla was that team that finished in second place in November almost a year ago in low ink, coming back and doing very well in this group. Valhalla and Moniker, those teams were both in my pool, and they ended up taking first and second here in Delta bracket. Moving right along, the final bracket here. This is closer to like Gamma and Beta level of low ink. Again, not like making automatic assumptions of like this. And I'm not sitting here saying, as somebody who's a head TO for low ink, oh, if you finished above Gamma, then you're automatically out. No, that's not exactly the case. But the story here, Up the Ante continues to show why they are a really strong team, coming off a second place finish in LSL, dominating here, going all the way to grand finals before just running out of gas in this bracket reset against Blue Moon, who posted a really funny clip of them freaking out in VC last night after they won Delta bracket here. Blue Moon being a lowing team for sure. Peer pressure taking third place. But still, hey, this is kind of proof. Delta and Epsilon brackets are proof that low-level teams will play in majors on day 2, even if there isn't a prize pool. You don't have to offer a prize for these teams. They still all signed up. You saw a couple teams did drop, which is going to happen. Teams drop out of low ink as well on day 2. But the vast majority of them stayed. And I don't think it's because there was there wasn't because there was a prize offered, because there wasn't. It's because it wasn't a single freaking elimination bracket. I can't believe this is still like the money didn't need to incentivize team to play. They clearly didn't. It's the fact that it was a double elimination bracket and not a single elimination bracket that we've constantly seen in majors. It's so mind-boggling. You give a team something actually fun and not just it's 8:15 in the morning and you lost your set. You're done for the entire day. No, give them a double elim. Let them actually play a little bit. They'll come out and play. Now, the best winner here for this tournament, the winner of the entire tournament, I believe, should go to the team Deep Fried excuse me. The Deep Fried Octolings, who still one of the very few teams in that won low ink this year that still actually exists. And you can tell why. They're dominant. First off, let me tell you, this isn't accurate. So the way Smash GG is set up is to where Epsilon was like the first bracket. So the winner, so like if you look at Smash GG right now, it shows Up the Ante finished in first place in this whole tournament. So that's not true at all. And like Kings are like 106 or something like that. So like the order of the brackets just don't line up. That's why. So like whatever placement you have right here, it is not accurate as of right now. But still, look at the teams the Deep Fried Octolings beat. They beat a Pulp, Goss, Ace, and Birdie pick up here. Bubble Guppies. It's a very nice win, 2-1. Legato, obviously that's the team they should be beating. Legato's LLing team. They played Kings. Beat Pandora 2-1. Eclipse Kuber. I don't think Kuber actually played. I believe that was random on Saturday. Rhythm and Taco. That's a very good win. And took a game off of Twinkies. There was a point on Saturday to where it looked like the Deep Fried Octolings were going to get stuck in a 3-place tie, to where it might have worked out into their favor, to where the Deep Fried Octolings was going to end up in alpha bracket, which would have been absolutely insane. In alpha bracket, they ended up in beta. Socks over Crocs, very strong team here. Just couldn't get the win against them, but they beat Twice. Twice did a really good job in this tournament, and Twice took that Scraw Gru team to a game 5 prior to this. So the Deep Fried Octolings, personally, I was like, if there's going to be another high ink and we play against these guys, I feel confident we can take them. After seeing what they did in this tournament, I don't feel so confident about that anymore. The Deep Fried Octolings glue up in Superjump, and they are my official winner of the Superjump tournament. Whoa, that was a lot of talking. Overall, Superjump 1 was a success. Seems like you guys really liked it as well. A lot of love being shown to IPL on Twitter and Twitch and Discord over the course of the weekend. So, good tournament. And I would love to talk about it even more, but we got other things we need to get to, and we're running out of time. So let's move right along. Let's get into the weekly recap, talk about some other things that happened over the course of this week, and then get to Skye to hear their thoughts on what happened on Superjump this past weekend. But right now, it is time for the weekly recap. New patch got announced for Splatoon 2 right after the Splatoon 3 trailer, which was really crazy to see. I don't think any of us were expecting it. Every time they release a new patch, they're like, this is it. We're done with this game. Oh, they came out with something new, and it's actually kind of interesting here. The K-Gal got nerfed, a 5% decrease to the paint, basically eliminating the buff that it got last time. Which wasn't necessary at all. And a lot of special points being adjusted. Some weapons that aren't really meta got their special points reduced. Some weapons that are used a lot, including K-Gal, got their weapon special points increased by 10 points. 10 points decrease, 10 points increase either way. My thought is, okay, wait, does it really matter? If, like, a 10-point difference either way doesn't really mean much. I mean, that's like, what, half a second extra of painting, or to a full second extra of painting before you have your special? Okay. And a good chunk of the time, when you're building up a special, you're just kind of holding it for a little bit, right? So does it really matter if you don't have it? Like, there are times in a game where, like, oh, I need a Booyah Bomb right now to throw at this checkpoint to stop them from advancing a little bit. Yeah, but I think this doesn't, the special point change doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't change anything unless it's something dramatic like a 20 or 30 point buff or nerf. 10 points, yeah, it's something negative against K-Gal. That's nice. I'm more interested in the painting buff. Now, is this going to change the meta? I don't know. 5% on paper. We don't know what 5% actually looks like on paper versus the game. So when the patch actually happens and we see what K-Gal looks like afterwards, be interesting. But until then, I don't know. The other buffs that I'm kind of interested in, Splattershot got buffed again. This time, making it a more consistent 3-hit kill. The damage that a bullet does increased by 1 point. I think it went from 35 to 36. Plus, fall off is now more consistent as well. At least that's what the translations would suggest. There's been a lot. It's been translated several different ways, and nobody's really like 100% sure that I've seen yet. But it looks like the fall off kills are now going to be more consistent. So that combined with the damage increase per bullet, Splattershot is now like pretty much an automatic 3-hit kill no matter what scenario you're in, or pretty doggone near close. So maybe Splattershot will come back and it'll just add another consistent shooter to use in this shooter meta. I don't know. Let's wait till the patch actually drops to see how it works out. Of course, Splatoon 3 trailer came out as well. We saw some new things, which is cool. I would like to be more interested in a date. Maybe not a date, but more like a time frame. Give us a season. They're just giving us the year 2022. I don't know what... I mean, that's not solid. That makes me think everyone says, well, it's got to come out in summer. If it was going to come out in summer, they would say summer 2022. We don't know yet. It could come out in winter, and it might get pushed back to 2023. We don't know. Here's something I want to point out, though. Like trailer breakdowns. It's fine, but I want you guys to remember this. I look back at the Splatoon 2 trailer. It showed the Reef, which looks completely different from what was in the final game. It also showed the Dualies, where they had a kit of a suction bomb and inkjet, which isn't in the actual game. So you guys break it down. Well, this is a kit that's 100% going to be in Splatoon 3 because it's in the trailer. No, you don't know that. We don't know what anything in the Splatoon 3 is actually going to look like. That Spider-Man thing looks cool. You can't confirm what weapons are going to have that kit yet. You can't. You can just speculate, but Nintendo has shown us in the past with other trailers for previous Splatoon games, what they show in those trailers doesn't automatically translate to what's in the final game. So just take what you see with a little bit of grain of salt. It's cool to see, but it doesn't mean it's 100% final. A couple turns to look at here. First off, let's take a look at SOS 43.
Mention in those Distractix tactics. And now, here we go. Perhaps one last opportunity. Archer's going to be able to pick with this Rainmaker and take it back, but you're going the wrong way, my friend. 2-down situation, but the antenna missiles are going to take care of business, and Los Panas are going to be your swimmer sink 23. Did I really just say 23? 43 champions.
That was Skybot and Lily on the call for IPL's SOS 43, not 23. I don't know where the 23 came from. Sometimes your brain gets a little fried there. It happens to even the best that we have in the commentary business here. But as Skybot announced, Los Panas beat games launching this winter in grand finals of SOS's Great White Bracket. Los Panas, basically a Michelin Heroes pickup. And games launching this winter was basically that same pickup team of Archer and Violet and all the other people I'm missing. That same kind of team that usually finishes near the top of SOS. So there you go. Finishing near the top again, not enough to overcome Los Panas. Tuki taking third place here. Hammer bracket was won by Summit. Mako bracket won by Sonara. And the team that won Lantern bracket by 10-0ing their group, by 10-0ing the entire bracket, was On Crack. I saw that on Wednesday night, and I was like, what? How did On Crack end up in Lantern bracket? Well, they ended up in one of those Circle of Sucks, where it was a three-way tie where three teams went 1 and 2 in their group. And for whatever tiebreaker reason, On Crack was the odd man out. So they said, okay, we're just going to destroy Lantern bracket here. And they did. They also, for some reason, was one of the few teams that had to play in round 1. Everybody else had a bye in round 1 of Lantern bracket. So I guess that was funny to see, but should be expected. On Crack destroyed Lantern bracket there. Hats off to them. Paddling Pool 130, the Tales of Naruto taking first place over Bowl of Wada, and third place going to Mousetrap. Naruto had Leafy Q, Ellison Max. Bowl of Wada had ISP, Isabel Hazard, and Nex. Mousetrap had Sindao, Brian Bolte, and Taylor participating in that one, the 130th edition of this Paddling Pool. Good to see Paddling Pool staying strong. Pretty much every single week they're having that tournament and getting consistent EU teams signing up for it. NFL action. Los Angeles Rams take care of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 34-24. A matchup between arguably the number 1 and number 2 teams in the NFL, going to favor of the Rams. Chargers take care of the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes going 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. And that was the weekly recap, sponsored by the Indiana University Grand Challenges, whatever name is on this bottle. You are sponsoring my consumption of water, which is sponsoring this entire episode of the podcast. So cool. Thank you for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for a chat with Skye, who I'm going to introduce in a second. Skye is not here, so this conversation happened last night. And if I can pull up the recording for that, we'll give you that, and we'll just let the recording take it from here. And welcome into the Popcast. Head TO for IPL's SOS. A frequent staff member for Low Inc., captain of Akuma, and a total giggle monster in most VC, Skye. Skye, how is morale at IPL?
I think morale at IPL is pretty good, honestly.
It's a pretty good weekend, you would say.
Honestly, I feel like the weekend went fairly well. Like, a lot of us are definitely very, very tired, and, definitely took a lot out of us.
How did you get into IPL? Like, what, like, it started off with Low Inc., right? Like, how'd you get into Low Inc. staffing?
So I used to staff a old community server that existed a long time ago, called Astronomy, and from there I just sort of staffed that up until it shut down in December of 2019. Eventually a fellow staff member and also the same person that I work alongside with in SOS, Grace, she was talking about how she applied for lowing staff. So in February of 2020, I applied, and I didn't get on. Grace and Hara did, and then I applied again the next month, and I got on in March of 2020. And I've been helping to staff Lowing ever since March of 2020.
What was on your resume that kept you from getting added on the first time? You think?
I, um, I I don't know. I think a lot of it might have just been the fact that I did not have a single bit of TOing experience at all.
Well, you got to start somewhere. I feel like IPL's done kind of a good job of that, of taking people that have maybe no experience but have shown that they can at least that they're at least somewhat competent and can like absorb kind of things.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of the head TOs that we have from IPL are all homegrown in a sense, and not really just like, oh well, they made their bones somewhere else, and then we just took them after they became like a big shot TO or something.
Yeah, I honestly, I would actually agree a lot with that. A lot of the people who hold the positions that they do in IPL, they've been doing a lot of work for IPL for a very long time, and they worked to get to where they are now. So,
A lot of work,
yeah.
especially for Superjump. Um, did you how involved were you with the production? Because I know the production staff was working on this for several months, like almost every single day that I saw them in VC working on something.
Yeah, I gave my input every now and then, but I wasn't super involved. I didn't really help with any of the videos or the graphics themselves, but I did help to give my input when they would ask for it and everything. So, uh, because most of what I was doing was staffing the actual tournament or helping to prep staff, whether it be writing notes during meetings and everything and discussing social media plans and everything.
Yeah, the there was a big social media presence for this tournament for sure, and it still is, even though the tournament's already over, which is cool to see. So Super Jump as a whole, how would you rate the success of this tournament on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to pin it at about a 8 to 9 out of 10 personally. Um, I would like to say that, it ran really, really, really well for IPL's first major. Um, and the player base like helped us out a bunch in some situations, being very understanding when we had issues with Smash GG and everything. Um, but like I think at the end of the day, we figured out those issues and we got around them, and the tournament after that ran pretty smoothly. Day one obviously being a lot harder, similarly to low inks day one, and day two being a little bit easier.
Do you think now I wasn't involved in a lot of the pre like setup leading up to the tournament during the week. Were other TOs kind of surprised by the turnout of teams that we had?
Um, no, I know that for a long while we just kept staring at the numbers. A lot of us would just look at the attendees just continuously going up and going up and going up. Um, there would usually be somebody in the staff channel writing how many teams we had from I think it got posted like every few hours even.
Well, right. Like I know people were like keeping an eye on it, but I mean like when the final number is like 150 something, was that more like wow, I can't believe we got this many teams? Cuz it seems like as I'm just thinking of the issues that did kind of arise over the week, it seemed like most of those issues arose just because there were a crap ton more teams and players than what we were kind of expecting when we first created the tournament.
Yeah. Um, Especially with like a lot of teams that have disbanded coming out of retirement and everything to come back together, like Jackpot for example. Like, um, I will say I think that we definitely didn't expect to have that amount because we
Mm.
definitely had to contact Smash GG to adjust the numbers and everything for us so that we could successfully take care of seeding and everything.
Oh wait. There's like a limit that Smash GG has, and we went over it or something.
Um, so Smash GG generally handles how the brackets are set up, and we can't really go and do that manually.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
That's I guess I could ask you this. It's do you think this is the first and last time that well, it wasn't the first time, but do you think this might be the last time we see Smash GG at a Splatoon event?
Um, from what I've heard, Smash GG generally is very, very nice for LANs and such. So, as far as LANs go, Smash GG is probably going to get continue to get used and everything, especially considering the fact that it's just helpful because all of the other events in general with LANs are usually Smash events, and they generally sign up on Smash GG as well. Um,
Hmm.
as for online events, TO side of things, I can definitely say that I love a lot of the tools and they're so nice. But from the player side of things, it's definitely a bit of a hassle and not really fun to deal with. So, I guess it really depends, because I know that a lot of our staff team is kind of mixed. Like some part of us are like, why did we think running on Smash GG would be a good idea? And then there's some of us who are like, man, Smash GG is no, not that bad actually.
Well,
So
I so you and I both played in this tournament. I don't know
mhm.
if you experienced this at all, but I realized, hey, wait a minute. This is way easier for me because I can kind of cheat because I got all these mod privileges, right? So like Smash GG was infinitely better for me because of that. I didn't know if you found that to be the case for you or yourself. And Grace, I know she played in it too.
I didn't actually use my mod permissions or anything. At least I tried really hard not to. I know like when going to report scores, like you had to like specifically select the opposing team or like
Mm,
because like sometimes you would load in as like the other team and then you'd have to like fix that. And I remember at some point I was fighting a team and I was just like I went to go click the thing and I realized I didn't like switch back to my team and then
yeah.
like it automatically was like, is this result okay? And I'm like, wait, crap, did I and I confirmed it on our side and I went and I was just like, I hate Smash GG so much. And our opponents were just like, yeah, we don't like it either.
Yeah, I that's a good point to kind of bring up. I forgot too. Yeah, it's like a mod you can switch between like what team you are viewing the current game as. And I got
Yeah.
in there and it was like check in for the other team and I'm like, "What? Why would I check in the other team?" I was so confused till I realized the scroll
Whoopsies, I
down
have mod
feature.
perms.
Yeah, I'm just gonna assume you guys are here. I'm gonna check you in for you. Um, so I, I kind of sent you some things ahead of time, and I know like there's like a lot of different people who are involved in this project. Do
Mhm.
you know? I don't know the answer to this myself, but do you know like where the initial $500 prize pool came from specifically?
To my knowledge, the initial $500 that we started off with came from IPL's pot, which is a combination of money that we've gotten from the Patreon and from our Twitch payouts, from Twitch subs and bits and everything. Because I don't know how many payouts we've had specifically, but I think we've had enough to where we had a little bit more than 500 in our account and everything. But with Twitch, you can't pay out until you have $100, so that's multiple hundreds of dollars that we've been paying out. So,
Right, and so that's kind of the revenue. I mean, we do have some expenses, obviously, but that I guess
hmm
that's kind of the benefit of having I've kind of said this for a long time. There should be more tournaments that come together and have one giant channel where all their tournaments are on, like an org, as opposed to just running a channel that runs one time a month. That okay, you can't get affiliate off of that. Nobody's going to subscribe to that channel or anything like that. So that's that. So it's like the funding for this tournament came from the fact of the success of SOS, the success of Low Ink and Testing Grounds and King of the Castle and Reef Rushdown and all those other like one-off events that we had. So, yeah, the benefit of an org kind of put on display there. Do you know what led to the decision for a prize to be paid out to the champion of Beta and Gamma bracket?
So, we ended up getting a a really big donation of $1,500, and I know for a long while we were we were very skeptical of this because we were very scared. Like, did they accidentally click another zero that they didn't mean to click? So for a while we were just kind of worried whether this was gonna bounce or not, and we figured out a way to reach out to them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, that was 100% intentional." Um, a lot of their wish with that money was they wanted a good portion of it to go to the lower brackets, or at least they wanted more money to go down to the lower brackets and everything. Um, so we did our best to distribute some more money down to Beta and Gamma. We gave Beta and Gamma a total of 140, giving first place 100 and then second place 40 for both Beta and Gamma. And then the rest of the prize pool ended up getting distributed evenly into Alpha, going first through fifth. Um, First place being 35% of the prize pool, second place being 25%, third being 20, fourth being 10, and then fifth being 5.
And there are two teams that finished in fifth, right? Like
Yeah.
there was a tie for fifth. So like the top, so basically the top six got paid out in Alpha. And
hmm
that. If there's one thing you could change for Super Jump 2 now that you've gone through Super Jump number 1, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think the first thing that definitely comes to mind is we really underestimated how many staff we wanted to bring onto this because we thought um having a small and very easy to manage amount of staff would just be better, mainly because it would help us to keep things under wraps and everything. But we realized that after running the entire event, we had folks who worked both Waves A and Waves B, and then also proceeded to work the entirety of the bracket on day two. Like I can't speak much because the most I ended up doing on day one was I helped out with Wave A, and then in between Waves A and B, I helped a lot with help desk, adding subs and everything. Because as soon as Wave B hit, I was playing, and was helping after Wave B ended and adding more subs and everything. I just know that a lot of us worked on Superjump a lot, and I think having more set in stone people for certain waves would have definitely helped a lot. Um, just in general, so that we weren't so tired by the end of it.
Yeah, I felt bad because there was people outside of like just those waves that you're talking about. Like there was like as soon as all those waves ended, we had to have people do seating, and
Mm-hmm.
then like you watched help desk pretty late into last night. I kept an eye on help desk Friday night, um, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done, not just during the actual tournament, but basically like 24/7 for the past 3 or 4 days. Like somebody had to do something. Um, and it felt weird because there was always somebody in help desk like, "Hey, when is this going to be done? When is this bracket going to be out? When are the groups going to be out?" And we have just like two people dying in a VC somewhere with like no sleep, trying to like make that thing that people keep demanding to show up. So yeah, that's a fair point. I guess we had the sense that we had enough until the tournament actually happened, and we're like, oh wait, no, we didn't.
Yeah. I think another thing we didn't really account for was that folks like me and Grace specifically wanted to take advantage of the fact that this is a major, something that might be a good opportunity for us and our teams to play in. So there were definitely the fact that we didn't take advantage or didn't really take note of the fact that there were probably some staff that would be playing as well.
Right.
Um,
Um, that's definitely an issue with flowing too, which is good to see. It's good to see staff be involved in their actual event, but yeah, when you
mhm.
need somebody to keep an eye on help desk, it's hard to do when you're the one who has a when you're in help desk asking the question. Um, hey, IPL's been getting a lot of love lately. Twitter, Discord. How does it feel to see all that?
Um, I'm gonna be honest, considering, I've been on both ends where, we've been either getting a lot of love or, receiving some nice criticism. Um, so, it's just really nice to see that everybody's effort to make this event run as smoothly as possible uh just it came out so splendidly. The production team did such an amazing job doing everything with the graphics, making the geometric shapes from Moo, doing the animations from Rush and Oinky, and Vincent keeping it all together and everything, and just having everything from both the production side of things to the TO side of things, just both things being so appreciated by the entire community is just so wonderful to see. And it makes this job so, or well, I guess I can call it a job because it basically has been one for the last 3 days. Um, but like it makes this so much more worthwhile, and it makes TOing and making these events for the people in this community so much better, and it's so much worth it.
Speaking of people giving love to IPL and making things worth it, a lot of talk, especially at Riptide, for those of us representing IPL that were at Riptide, was so when is the IPL going to make the land, right? Because everyone because we're the top dog now. So it's like, okay, so IPL is going to be the one to make the next land. What information can you share on a potential IPL land? Putting you on the spot
Um,
here.
totally. I don't think it's gonna be possible for a very, very long while because heck, we we thought we had enough staff when it came to Superjump and we really underestimated that. I feel like for a LAN, sure, we're gonna need a lot of the same resources that we needed for Superjump, but we're gonna need that and so much more. Um, Which I think at right now we don't actually have those. And as much as I would love to be able to help with a LAN, especially one that's being run by IPL, um, I see it more likely that some of the individual head TOs might possibly run locals, but don't really quote me on that. Uh, that's probably the closest thing that I can think of that's not as high maintenance, but just for like a little for fun thing that might happen in regards to in-person events. And I think another big factor to consider is also the fact that COVID is still a thing, and until that starts to die down a little bit more, I don't really think any more in-person events should really happen.
Yeah,
So,
I think we've kind of realized that we've gotten lucky with Riptide, or maybe not lucky. I mean,
mm,
last I saw was 3 confirmed cases from the Splatoon side alone. So
I think
maybe
there's
we're
been a bit more since then.
probably. I've only seen this was like a week ago since I've seen, so there might have been more since then, or so yeah, pandemic probably a pretty good reason why we won't be seeing lands in the future. When we have the low ink land, um, are you more excited to participate in it or to for it?
I guess considering the fact that I have teammates who currently at the moment aren't eligible for lowing, and I'm pretty much one of the only ones that are eligible still. I don't know. I think I might be more willing to TO it, just mainly due to that, because I'd rather play with my team than play with a pickup. So,
Where can people find you? Since you are one of the head TOs for SOS, the weekly tournament, yeah, probably the biggest weekly tournament we have in the scene right now.
you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Skye the Demon, or you can find me on Discord in the IPL server. I'm usually always online, or at least I'm always shown as online. There's chances are that if I'm idle, that I'm probably asleep.
If somebody were to look in a VC and see you alone in a VC, how often is it that you're dead asleep in that VC?
Um, it really depends on the time of day, but if I've just been sitting there for a few hours and you ping me and I still don't respond within like, an hour or two, I think that's a good indicator that I'm not awake.
Great things going on in the staff room of IPL. Skye, thank you. I know it's the end of a very long weekend. I'm glad you could, or I'm happy you could take some time out of your day to talk about some IPL Superjump related stuff. That was some good information that I think a lot of people are going to be excited to hear tomorrow on the podcast. So thank you
Of course.
and enjoy your night. And of course, that tomorrow being right now. And that was Skye, one of the head TOs for IPL, SOS, and a lot of other events. Skye pretty much has their hand in a lot of different things with IPL. Skye kind of mentioned a lot of different people who were involved in the Superjump project. I wanted to make sure everyone got at least some sort of mention, so I looked in between while that was playing. I looked back at some of the other people that were credited in the staff video, so I'm going to read off all their names right now. Kraken, Hoenn, JPEG, Skye, Grace, Rays, Blue Tulip, Chater, Quirk, or Cater, I believe is how that is pronounced. Kitsune Kiara, Smile, Roundy, Ink Fairer, Brushstrokes, Popgun, Jordan Marsh, Vincent, The Moo, Toasty, commentators Layla, Riza, Magic, Zari, Sayo, Shads, Stu, Kbot, Lily, 9, Osty, and the Patreon supporters, Nebula, Adept, Mr. Rookie, X-Ray, Mothman, and Anonymous. So that a lot of talking to be doing on today's episode, and we got through all of it. There's a lot more we could talk about with Superjump. A lot of really awesome things, but that's for you guys to do on Twitter and what other podcasts kind of talk about Splatoon stuff. There's but I hope that I wanted to put on somebody from IPL so that you guys could get a perspective from somebody who was put a lot more groundwork. And there was a lot of other people who could have had their voices heard. Vincent wanted to come on and talk a lot. Vincent could probably fill a whole episode talking about all the production stuff that went into this one. Obviously, Hoenn, we got to get Hoenn on at some point, one of the organization heads for IPL. But that's all for stuff down the road. For now, it's time for me to go. If you'd like to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach out to me at my socials below. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord at Popgun, #5882, Twitch at Popgun25, YouTube at 25Popgun, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting your local TOs. Let's go raid Keen, I guess would be a good one. Next week, we will be recapping. Is that correct? Oh, is it like /raid? That's right. I feel like I've never done a raid before. Next week, we will be recapping Minnow Cup. Probably talking about some other things. It's been a long time since I did an interview. Maybe we should get somebody else to do some more chats on the podcast. Thanks for watching.